Hello, Warriors. Your faves are back for another episode of That's on Womanhood. My name is Nia Brown.
This is I am the MVP.
The drama.
Sorry.
Have you always wanted to be an actor?
No, but I needed to go to acting classes because I was a very shy girl and I was shy and tall. So that's why I decided to take drama because I also had a very low voice.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, nobody likes me because... And then when I went to drama, I was like, oh man, cool. They said I can actually walk tall and pretend like I always have a place I'm going to. So when you see me walk in the streets, have you ever noticed I'm always walking like...
Yeah. You walk with purpose.
Yes, that's why I was told to walk in purpose when I was in grade 8. I was like, I'm going to walk like this for the rest of my life. Because I mean, when you're a tall girl surrounded by short guys, it was a bit weird. But I got over that. We grew up. We know that our height really goes a long way.
I mean, I can imagine as a young girl that must have been, one of the challenging things you experienced as a young girl, being the tall girl in class.
The beauty of it was that I wasn't the only one. There were 3 of us in my grade that were all tall. So we were like all the tall girls together. Shout out to Pilisiwe and Neo, by the way. Shout out, guys. We were like the skyscrapers. So you always find someone who has a certain physique like similar to yours, and you're like, oh, okay, I thought I was the only one, but I'm not. In primary school, you think you're the only one because in the olden day pictures, we always used to stand by the stage at school. I was that point. I was that national key point. That was me. That was me. Maybe in grade 7, there were 2 of us that were like neck and neck. Otherwise, I made that triangle happen, yo. I made it happen.
I mean, when you think back at it, right, the challenges you faced as a young girl and the challenges you face now as an older girl, you kind of look back at it and you're like, that was so silly of me to even take that so seriously. But you grow up, and then as a woman now, there are still a lot of challenges that you face as a woman. One of my biggest challenges is relationships. I feel like I've got everything else sorted. My career's going well. I work for the best station. I'm doing my dream show. I'm independent. I've got nice couches and fridges in my house.
And good bedding.
Comfortable bed. A headboard.
Yeah.
I have a headboard. But when it comes to relationships, it's very difficult because I don't know what kind of woman I need to be in order to attract the kind of man that I want in my life, right? Right now, the difficulty is I'm kind of trying to transition to a more feminine version of me. And I'm finding that very challenging because I feel like I'm the girl who wears pants all the time and she sits with her legs open and she eats wings like she's crazy and, she doesn't really care. But I'm also finding that when I do those kinds of things, people then perceive me as the woman who cannot be soft, doesn't need to be soft and doesn't deserve to be soft. But I'm trying to soften myself up because I feel like that's what a woman should be. And I could be wrong in this opinion, but because I feel like that's what a woman should be, and I feel like that's the kind of woman I should be if I want to attract the kind of
But who are you being soft for?
For him.
How?
I don't know.
Because I think for me, being soft, I was forced to be soft for a whole year. Remember when I broke my wrist at netball and I was in a cast and everything? And I get what you mean by being a strong woman because I used to go and buy my own gas and carry it. That's why I go to the gym. You think you go to the gym for summer body? No, gotta lift the 9 kg. It's to lift the 9 kg and pull my dogs because they're big now. But when I didn't have my right wrist and I needed to depend on people to help me do things, I realized that that's what it means to be soft. It's to allow people to help you. So that's my version of being soft.
I can't do that.
But something's going to happen because my ancestors were like, we're going to slow you down.
We're going to show you.
You're too strong. Relax.
I think it's like when you've been independent for such a long time and you carry the gas cylinder all the way up. You carry all your groceries in one trip. It's difficult to allow someone to come into your life and treat you softly because you've been a kind of way for a long time. It's difficult.
It's difficult, but I think now we mentioned earlier in episode 1 that we're different types of women as we're evolving. So now we need to start evolving ourselves into what we want to be like when we are being surprised with breakfast in bed, when we're being surprised on a vacation trip, when we're being surprised, like a surprise birthday party. You're not going to say, guys, why didn't you?
This is so awkward.
You know what I mean? You want to be like, oh my God, you guys did it. I want to do that. I want to be like, oh no, you guys did. I'm planning my own birthdays. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what it means to be soft for yourself more than it is for someone else. Because the moment you start being soft for yourself, then you'll know ukuthi useng trope off maragavulanga umnyango. Tricky, but okay. But now we know ukuthi, okay, this is how I want to be treated if I'm taken out, or if I'm being fine dined, or if I'm being like just chilling with someone at home.
Yeah.
I always ask myself, but I always ask myself, how can I be soft towards me?
That's
because
a good place to start.
Can change often. Him can always change.
So now that you say that you are soft, you always have been soft. And your ancestors softened you up.
I wouldn't say I've always been soft. I'm saying I've learned to be soft because of situations.
Like that.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
Are you still having to be soft even in the industry, which is a male-dominated industry? I mean, you're a DJ as well. You're one of the few female DJs we have in the country. This industry is still dominated by men. Do you still need to be soft even in the situations where you are interacting with all of these men who are deciding how much they pay you, where you go, how often you gig, who have so much power and control over your success?
Once again, it's being soft towards myself. So if the gig is not serving me and they want me to go above and beyond, but the gig is paying me peanuts, then it's like, we can miss this one. But we're not going to say, no, I don't want your gig.
Yeah.
It's more of a, hey, I'm fully booked today. I won't be able to make it on that date. Let's try another date. Then I'll see how I feel after. But I never dismiss. When it comes to being in the streets, I mimic the person that is approaching me. So if the person approaches me with like, yo, you 5 minutes late. It's like, yo, who you...
Yeah.
Like, it's not hi.
Yeah. Because I can give it back.
Yeah. Like, if someone holds my arm, like, if you know how guys usually just like grabbing you, someone grabs me, I grab them back, and then they're like, I'm like, no, are we not shaking hands? Or so for me, it's more of a, I need to show you that what you're doing is inappropriate for me. But if I do it on you or to you, you won't like it.
You're not gonna like that. This thing of the industry being male dominated, to be quite honest with you, I've never seen it that way. I've never seen it as a thing. But I think it's because I've always only focused on the women in the industry.
Yes.
When I started in radio, there was the Dineo Ranakas, the Bonang Matebas that I was looking up to. I honestly didn't care about any of the guys or any of the male presenters. I didn't care what they were doing. No. I was watching all these women that I look up to, and I was trying to, emulate them and, do this thing and try to get into the industry because they're the ones who made me want to get into the industry.
Yes.
So when people say, how do you feel in a male-dominated industry? It doesn't feel male-dominated for me. It feels female-dominated because there are so many women who have surpassed their male counterparts and have gone off to be far more successful than any of them. Because men can get easily complacent. Women don't have a choice but to keep working and to keep pushing.
Absolutely.
100%.
I feel like a lot of the times we depend so much on people sort of transcribing what a woman is supposed to be towards us, as opposed to asking us, what do you feel in the situation, or how do you feel when you're placed at a gig and you also now have to go do voiceover the next day? How do you balance just your work life? But it always has to be a woman, because a lot of people keep being surprised by the things that we can do.
Yes.
And that's what amazes people, and that's why they're so shocked. Uguti, now it's the era of women. We are in our bags constantly, and we'll always be chosen by clients over males because we are safe, we are kind, we come with a sweet smile and pretty face.
Yes, we do.
And we also come with a lot of respect.
Yeah.
I think that's what a lot of people like. These days, I love this generation where now, if you snap at someone like Donald Trump, they don't want to see you again, I remember doing a voiceover with a guy for a very popular phone, and it was over Zoom with client, but he was, can we just finish this now? We could have done this in one take. And I was just like taken aback, like, how can you be so rude? I got called back, he didn't.
Yeah.
But it's that respect thing. Like,
100%.
I don't understand sometimes how men see themselves. That's the thing.
At the end of the day, you are working with people, right? And this is the thing that goes back to respect. You are working with people. It's always important to keep that in mind, because you need to be aware of how you treat other people in a work environment, whether they are male or whether they are female, because that can go a long way.
Can I interject there?
Yes.
Now let's think about how we grew up, especially because I'm from KZN.
Yeah.
So you know when you come in KZN and you're greeting adults, you got to carry your hand when you
100%.
shake it. When you get into the house, you sort of like bend your knees and and a lot of times the women have to bend down. The men just like literally put their hands on their knees and they lean against the wall. What were we taught when we were young in terms of respect and what guys were taught when we were young in terms of respect are two different things.
Exactly.
So they're taught to respect their superiors, whereas we're taught to respect everyone. And that's what I think is the difference between men and women. Is
100%.
They choose who they choose to respect.
Yeah.
Whereas we choose that, or we know that we need to respect everyone. Because everybody comes into your household when you become the mother, the wife. You're hosting everyone, which means you always need to be appealing to everyone. But that's done like subconsciously in our brains.
Yeah.
With men, it's sanbona.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Kudla. Khona. Right. That's what we learn. And that's why I feel as though we have a battle now with women who know their worth in that sense, where you get a guy who just wants to grab you in the club and you're like, what you grabbing me for?
Yeah.
Man?
Yeah.
With your ancient ass thinking,
Yeah.
you know? So I think that's where we differ with men, and that's why we're on top at the moment.
And that is why we are on top at the moment. And that's
guys,
why
it's
just what it is.
Snap.
Get it together so that you can be on our level, because right now you're messing up and you don't even realize you're messing up. I saw a tweet once. Someone was saying, men only really care about the opinions of other men. And I said, exactly. Men only care what other men think about them. So when men get into a relationship, they're thinking, what are my boys going to think about this girl? When men get a car, they're thinking, what are my boys going to think about this car? Are they going to like this car? Is it better than their cars? Men don't care about the opinions of women. But the difference is that we care about the opinions of other women. Maybe a bit too much sometimes.
True.
But that's what keeps us humble.
Yes.
And that's what keeps us respectful.
Do you think men have a place in society that's always like there consistently?
I can't think of one from the top of my head.
I think the place that men always see themselves in is in a superior manner. And that's probably a reason why we're both single, because when a guy sees us and our qualities, they are intimidated and they know that my place needs to be the bigger man. I need to be the one who's always in charge. But if you're going to come with me with similar energies, that's weird. So I think with men, their place in society is more superiority. But when we turn it to ourselves in terms of women and where we see ourselves in society, I'm always imagining for us like rich aunt. That's what we emulate. Like rich aunt energies, like I've got my own, I'm the one who comes through to the family and I'm carrying bags and I'm like, yeah, I got you. At the same time, you're going to tell me what's wrong at home and you're going to say, yo, auntie, so A, B, and C happened, but I kind of messed up. And I'm like, yo, bro, I'll give you real talk.
Cool. Exactly.
But don't do that again.
Absolutely.
So I think we as women are now in society taking on more superior roles. And that's why it really surprises a lot of men as to how to react to that. And no one went to LO to study how to place yourself in society or navigate that. And that's why we have this problem where all of us bench together on a Sunday afternoon at the car wash because we ain't got nothing better to do but prepare for our work week.
100%.
The biggest thing I personally now love about being a woman is the fact that we can transform when we need to. We can be hard when we need to. We can be soft. We adapt to our environments because we never die. We multiply. But also what I love about being a woman is I go through emotions. I love going through. I love crying.
I love crying.
Crying is the best.
God. I love crying. I cry any chance I get. It's just good to get it out.
Me too.
Love it.
I'm just like, sometimes when the show is done and I'm feeling like very grateful, I can't wait to get because I'm about to like bust one out, man.
And you're in the car going, right now. As soon as you get home, you're just like, oh my God, that was the best show ever. It's beautiful.
Do you ever get that cry where you're just like, and then you wake up in the morning and your eyes are all puffed up?
Yeah.
It's because I love feeling, I love experiencing my emotions because that's when I know I really care about something and whether I need to carry on with that thing or leave it alone. That's
100%.
my fave.
I'm with you there 100%. I honestly could not even think of good reasons why I love being a woman, because for me, I'm thinking about all the negatives. I'm thinking about the fact that it's difficult to work. It's difficult to get respect in whatever industry you work in. It's a lot more harder to get to the positions of power. It's very difficult to walk down the street and not be catcalled, regardless of what's going on around you, you are almost guaranteed to be catcalled when you're walking down the street trying to get to wherever you are. It sucks because you get periods every month, and it's crampy and it hurts.
And the week before, it's emotions.
It's emotions, and then men don't understand it. They don't get it. They think we're making it all up. When we are cramped like this on the bed in a fetal position, they think we're being dramatic. So for me, when I think about being a woman, I think about all of those negative things. But there are some things that you've mentioned now that I'm like, oh my goodness, I've definitely experienced those things, and I can experience those things because I am a woman. I'm a woman. I'm in tune. I'm in touch with my emotions. What I'm going through, I acknowledge that, whether it's good or whether it's bad. I love to cry. I love to eat, all the time. And I also love being the kind of woman now who can accept that about myself and say, if I want to have McDonald's, I'm going to have McDonald's too.
And that's on period.
And that's on womanhood.
I love being a woman also because I don't, what's the word? Anghaleli is sex. Anghaleli activities in bed. It's just like, nah,
not today.
I'm good. I mean, nah. You do get those 2 days. When you get those 2 days, you're like, girl, who am I gonna call? And then you're like, after a few hours, it's done. Ride the wave, and
you
it's
move
done.
on. You
That's
have
true.
a meeting. You make some money, and then it's over. It must be very difficult for men because they probably, it's like all the time for them.
Yeah.
Shame.
Really is.
Shame. What a
They
shame.
even have a term for it, blue something.
Bowels. Let's talk about amazing experiences that you've had as a woman.
Amazing experiences?
I can say one.
Okay.
One of the most beautiful, and I love to tell the story because it really is like a fairy tale story. But one of the most beautiful experiences I've ever had as a woman was seeing my mom get remarried. In a time where when a woman gets divorced, she's seen as less than, unworthy, used. My mom got married to the actual love of her life. They went to high school together and then they parted ways. And I asked my stepdad, I said, did you like my mom? Like even when you guys were in school? He said, I always loved your mother. I always loved your mother. They got married. That moment for me was a lesson in saying, everything that society has to say about you is wrong. Completely wrong. When you are divorced as a woman, you are still worthy of love. It's okay if that other man was unable to love you the way you deserve. But here is a man that is. So that wedding, on their wedding day, I was so incredibly happy for my mom because I knew how difficult the divorce was for her. I knew how difficult it was for her to leave. And I can't imagine the thoughts that were running through her head. She's thinking about her children. She's thinking about whether she's going to spend the rest of her life by herself. She's thinking about, all of these things. How is she going to support herself? Should she stay in Kimberley or move someplace else? But that moment where I got to witness her realize that she is worthy of love, that she is worthy of support, especially because my mother had taken care of everyone else. And now here walks in a man who says, I'm going to take care of you, I don't want to cry.
It's okay. It's beautiful. It's okay.
That's one of the most beautiful things I've ever witnessed. Because it gives you hope. We are independent, strong women, and we're out here to get the bag and make money. And I know for the both of us, it's difficult because we don't think we'll ever find that person that's going to say, Ayanda, I love you just the way that you are. I love it when you're independent. I love it when you're in your meetings. I love it when you are DJing and doing your thing and presenting your show. But I love and appreciate you for who you are. That's such a difficult thing, I think, for the both of us, because we're just sitting there going, well, when is that going to happen? And who is that going to be with? But that experience has taught me that I don't ever want a man to walk into my life who says that I'm intimidating, that I'm too much for them, that I'm doing too much. It will take a special kind of man to put me in a space where I feel safe enough to be vulnerable with them. And that's the end of the waterworks.
It's okay.
Next
Thank you so
question.
much for that. That was beautiful.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's the most beautiful thing. It's like, it's my favorite story. I tell everyone that story because it's so beautiful. And it gives me hope. And I hope that it gives all of us.
I think it does give all of us hope when we see someone who went through a bad time in their relationship actually like also succeed. What was the question?
What was your moment, the most beautiful moment you've experienced as a woman? Your favorite moment as a woman?
I think my favorite moment as a woman, I think it's when I realized I'm quite nurturing. When I got my dogs.
Yeah.
I think when I got my first dog, I was sort of, I was still dating my ex at that point, but I just really wanted to have a pet. And in my head, it was just like, you feed it, it wakes up, you just give it water and food and it's fine. When I first met Tyson, he was still a puppy. I don't know what drew me towards him or what vice versa, but taking care of Tyson was one of the most like enriching things for me because I'm always taking care of other people, but now Tyson belongs to me.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized you're actually going to be quite a dope mom.
Yeah.
You're all about this. You're super investigative. And I think it's also with my nieces and my nephews when they were babies as well. I was always at the forefront of just taking care of them. So I think one thing for me that I thought I lacked because I didn't have was the nurturing element to it. Because I don't like greet people by hugging them. I think it's a nurturing thing to do to hug people and stuff, but I don't like hugging and I don't like the it's more of a something that just comes about. And when I got my dogs, it just came about that I was like, why am I always rubbing these dogs? Why am I always, are you okay? What's going on? What happened to your poor boy? I didn't find myself like saying or speaking like that. But after I got my pets, I realized, well, I'm a really nurturing person.
So it's Tyson and
Ava,
and then you just got a chair.
Yeah.
I love this chair.
As we move. Oh man. There are a lot of women that we know in our society, in our spaces, but which women do you think are absolutely killing it?
There's so many.
Yes.
There's so many to mention. I mean, we've got women who've been killing it for a long time, so I'm not going to mention them because it's quite obvious, the Bonangs of the world and so on and so forth. What I will mention is the new generation of women that we're seeing on the come up at the moment who are absolutely, killing it in the various fields. Nather Bay, I adore so much. I think she's so incredibly talented. What a great rapper. But I also just love the way in which she's positioned herself in the industry.
Yes.
She is serious about her business.
Yes.
Okay. And I love that about her. There's other women. Who's the rapper girl? The Xhosa rapper.
Koala.
Koala. I love Koala. Koala is so talented. She should be much bigger than she is right now. And I really, really hope that she climbs, all the way up to success. There's Pamela Mdanga, who I think is also so incredible and stunning and gorgeous.
Yes.
And then you've got women in the social media space, right? Because usually that's how it starts. They play around in the social media space and then, they get onto TV and they get onto radio. And I think that that's such a beautiful, transition to see women who take opportunities that are right there in front of them and do it well.
What's the former Miss SA?
Zosibini Tuesday.
She was like recently emceeing or hosting a fashion show overseas and she was just brilliant.
Exactly. Are there any women that you feel like are
you named
right
most
now?
of them as well, but I want to take it back to the woman in our industry, LKG for one.
Yes,
she is such a kind person. Like,
her growth.
And her aura, her growth, definitely.
Like seeing her from when she was on Soweto TV to where she is now is just so beautiful to witness.
And she's also so accepting of challenges and she overcomes them. And she's also very inspiring. Like we could be gigging, but she's going to say, Miss, remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's there.
Yeah. DJing. And I also have to give it to Unati. Unati is showing us an example of what it is to be a woman in war, but winning and overcoming and not letting it transform you in any way or form. Unati, I love so much.
Yeah.
I love that woman so much. She can easily make me tear up because she's just, she gives you those affirmations.
100%.
And she reminds you.
And she's consistent.
Yes.
About who she is.
Yes.
And what she believes in. She's consistent in that. I love this thing about celebrating, you know, the women that we've just mentioned now, which is something I think as women, especially in the industry, we need to do more often. But I think it's also important to find ways, your own ways, to celebrate womanhood, right? And it can be something as simple as self-care Sundays. I do self-care Sundays.
Nice.
Because it's going back to that point that you made earlier on about start taking care of yourself first. Be soft with yourself first. And for me, starting this self-care Sundays routine where I cut my hair and I do my face and I, you know, do whatever, is a way to celebrate my womanhood, is a way to say, to unlearn and to learn how to be soft and how to be comfortable with being soft, because ultimately that is what I want. I want to be more delicate with myself so that other people are more delicate with me.
That's true.
How do you celebrate womanhood?
How do I celebrate womanhood? I think
your netball game.
Yeah.
I think it's such a great way to celebrate womanhood.
For real? Yeah, definitely. I never think of it like that. I actually think that that's a charity for me. But I think that's also celebrating. I don't know how to answer this question, actually.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I answered it for the
Thank
both of
you.
us.
That's on women.
And that's on womanhood.
That's right.
YS, thank you so much for joining us for another fun episode of That's on Womanhood with myself, Nia Brown.
And I am MVP.
We'll see you again on the next episode where we spill the tea and we break down the reality.
And as
the
they all say,
reality of being a woman.
And as they all say, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.